Ambassador Jinwoo Park stood at the window of his quarters, watching the stars blur past as the ship traveled faster than light. He had dreamed of this moment his entire life. First contact. Humanity was finally meeting other intelligent life in the universe. "You should get some rest," Commander Haijin Choi said from the doorway. She was his second-in-command and closest friend. They had trained together for 5 years for this mission. Jinwoo turned and smiled. "Too excited to sleep. Tomorrow we meet the Galactic Council." "Can you believe it?" "I can barely believe we made it this far," Haijin replied. She walked over to stand beside him. 47 alien species, all waiting to meet us. The ship, called the New Dawn, had been traveling for 3 weeks. Earth had detected alien signals 2 years ago and finally decoded them. The signals led them to the Nexus, a massive station at the center of the galaxy. The Council had invited Earth to send representatives. Jinwoo looked at his reflection in the glass. He wore a simple black uniform with Earth's flag on the shoulder. No weapons, no guards, just peace and hope. That was the message Earth wanted to send. "Do you think they'll like us?" Haijin asked quietly. "Why wouldn't they?" Jinwoo laughed. "We're bringing gifts, offering friendship. We just want to join the galactic community." The next morning, the New Dawn arrived at the Nexus. The station was enormous, bigger than Earth's moon. It glowed with thousands of lights. Ships of every shape and size moved around it like insects around a lamp. Jinwoo and Haijin took a small shuttle to the station. Their pilot was nervous but excited. When they docked, 2 alien guards met them. The aliens were tall with blue skin and 4 arms. They said nothing, just pointed down a long hallway. The hallway led to a massive chamber. The ceiling was so high Jinwoo couldn't see the top. Hundreds of aliens sat in curved rows, all facing a central platform. Some had fur, some had scales, some glowed with strange light. Every eye turned to watch the humans enter. "Welcome, humans," a voice boomed. It came from a creature sitting on the highest seat. The creature looked like a floating jellyfish made of silver. "I am the Supreme Arbiter of the Galactic Council. You stand before 10,000 years of civilization." Jinwoo bowed respectfully. "Thank you for inviting us. I am Ambassador Jinwoo Park of Earth. We come in peace." "Peace," the Arbiter repeated. The word sounded wrong coming from it, almost mocking. "Tell me, human, what does Earth offer the Council?" Jinwoo had prepared for this. "We offer friendship, trade, and knowledge. We're a young species, but we're eager to learn and contribute." The chamber erupted in strange sounds. Clicking, hissing, rumbling. Jinwoo realized the aliens were laughing. "Contribute?" The Arbiter said. "You have nothing we need. You are primitives who just learned to travel between stars. The Council does not need you. You need us." Jinwoo felt his stomach tighten, but he kept his voice calm. "Then perhaps we can learn from you. We ask only for the chance to prove ourselves." "There is a way," the Arbiter said. "Submit to Council authority. Surrender your military, your resources, and your independence. In return, we will allow your species to survive under our protection." Haijin grabbed Jinwoo's arm. "Don't," she whispered. But Jinwoo had already made his choice. He had been sent to make peace, not surrender. With respect, we cannot accept those terms. Earth wishes to join the Council as equals, not as subjects. The laughter stopped. The chamber became silent. "Equals?" The Arbiter's voice dropped to something cold and dangerous. "You dare speak of equality? You are nothing. You are less than the dust on our floors." "We are a sovereign species," Jinwoo said firmly. "We will not surrender our freedom." The Arbiter rose higher in the air. "Then you will serve as an example. Let all lesser species see what happens when they refuse the Council." Guards rushed forward. Haijin screamed and tried to reach Jinwoo, but more guards grabbed her. They dragged her toward a door while she fought and shouted his name. The last thing she saw was Jinwoo standing alone on the platform, calm and dignified even as the guards surrounded him. He looked at her one final time and nodded. "Be strong," his eyes said. Then the doors closed. Haijin was thrown into a small room. She ran to the door and pounded on it, screaming. Through a small window, she could see a screen showing the council chamber. She watched as the Arbiter raised one glowing tentacle. "Let the galaxy witness," the Arbiter announced. "This is the fate of those who defy the council." A beam of white light filled the chamber. When it faded, Jinwoo was gone. Not dead, not injured. Simply erased, as if he had never existed. Haijin fell to her knees, unable to breathe. They had murdered him. During peace talks, an unarmed ambassador, rage replaced her shock. She stood and looked around the room. There had to be a way out. She found a ventilation shaft and kicked it open. The station's security was designed to keep people out. Not in dot, it took her 6 hours to reach the shuttle bay. She moved through the shadows, her training taking over. When she finally reached their shuttle, she dove inside and launched before anyone could stop her. The new dawn was still waiting. Haijin docked and ran to the bridge. "Commander, where's the ambassador?" the captain asked. Haijin's voice was cold and hard. "They killed him. Set course for Earth. Maximum speed. What about peace?" "There is no peace," Haijin said, pulling up the recording she had managed to save. "Send this message ahead. Tell them to prepare. Tell them the council murdered our ambassador in cold blood." She looked back at the Nexus one last time as the ship jumped to faster than light speed. "Tell them we're coming back." The new dawn arrived at Earth 3 days later. Haijin hadn't slept once during the journey. She had watched Jinwoo's death 100 times, memorizing every detail. The council would pay for this. When the ship landed, military vehicles surrounded it immediately. Soldiers rushed aboard and escorted Haijin to a black car. They drove for an hour through underground tunnels before stopping at a massive bunker. Deep beneath the mountains, Admiral Taiho Lim was waiting for her. He was an old man with gray hair and sharp eyes. He had commanded Earth's defense forces for 20 years. Behind him stood a dozen military officers and scientists. "Commander Choi," Taiho said, "we received your message. Show us everything." Haijin played the recording. The room watched in silence as Jinwoo was erased from existence. When it ended, nobody spoke for a long moment. They didn't even hesitate, someone whispered. Taiho's jaw tightened. "This is exactly what we feared. This is why we prepared." He turned to the others. "Activate Ghost Protocol. Authorization Taiho Alpha 9. Red lights began flashing throughout the bunker. Computer screens lit up with data. Officers rushed to their stations. "Ghost Protocol?" Haijin asked. A woman stepped forward. She wore a captain's uniform with wings on her collar. "I'm Captain Yoonji Song, commander of the Phantom Fleet. Ghost Protocol is our contingency plan for hostile first contact." "What contingency plan?" Haijin demanded. "We went there for peace, and we hoped for peace," Taiho said. "But hope is not a strategy. While we prepared the new dawn for diplomacy, we also prepared for war." He led them through the bunker to a massive hangar. The doors opened to reveal something impossible. 50 warships, each one twice the size of the new dawn, all painted matte black. They looked like shadows given form. "For the past 15 years, Yoonji explained, we've been building these in secret. Deep space construction, no emissions, no signals. As far as the galaxy knows, Earth barely has a space program." A man in a white coat approached. He was young with tired eyes and coffee stains on his shirt. "Dr. Dong Kang, chief of weapons research. He introduced himself. These ships use what we call the blackout drive. It bends light and energy around the ship, making it completely invisible. No radar, no sensors, nothing can detect them. But the Council has technology thousands of years more advanced than ours, Hyjin said. They have old technology, Do-yoon corrected. They've been the dominant power for so long, they stopped innovating. They became comfortable, arrogant. We had to innovate just to survive. That gave us an edge. Another person joined them, a woman with grease on her hands and excitement in her eyes. Engineer Sujin Lee, she said quickly. I designed the Cascade weapon. Want to see it work? She led them to a testing chamber. Inside was a cube made of alien metal, recovered from a crashed probe years ago. Sujin pressed a button. A small device shot a beam at the cube. The cube began to glow, then shake, and suddenly exploded in a chain reaction. The Cascade targets alien power systems, Sujin explained. One shot causes a feedback loop. The ship's own energy tears it apart from the inside. The bigger the ship, the bigger the explosion. Hyjin stared at the smoking remains of the cube. How many of these weapons do we have? Every ship carries 100. Sujin grinned. Taeho checked his watch. The Council intercepted our transmissions. They know we're angry. They're probably sending a fleet to teach us a lesson right now. How do you know? Hyjin asked. Because it's what I would do, Taeho replied. They'll want to crush us quickly, before we can organize resistance. They'll send enough ships to destroy our major cities and force surrender. Eunji brought up a star map. Our satellites detected a massive energy signature leaving Council space 6 hours ago. At their speed, they'll reach Earth in 48 hours. Then we have 48 hours to prepare, Taeho said. He turned to Hyjin. Commander, I'm giving you a choice. You can stay here, safe and out of the fight. Or you can take command of the New Dawn sister ship, the Silent Thunder, and lead our counterattack. Hyjin didn't hesitate. I want to fight. I thought you might. Taeho nodded. Captain Song will brief you on the plan. The next 2 days passed in a blur. Hyjin learned to operate the Silent Thunder and practiced with her new crew. They ran simulations of the coming battle over and over. Every officer on every ship knew their role perfectly. Meanwhile, Earth's surface looked peaceful. Cities continued their normal routines. News stations reported nothing unusual. The planet seemed completely unprepared for war. But beneath the surface, in hidden bunkers and underground bases, humanity prepared to show the galaxy what happened when you murdered their ambassadors. On the morning of the 3rd day, alarms sounded. The Council fleet had arrived. Hyjin stood on the bridge of the Silent Thunder, watching her screens. 500 alien warships dropped out of faster-than-light travel just beyond Earth's moon. They were massive, covered in weapons, designed to inspire terror. They're scanning the planet, her sensor officer reported. They're looking for military installations. Let them look, Hyjin said calmly. Eunji, are all ships in position? Affirmative. Yoonji's voice came through the comm. 50 ships, all cloaked, all waiting. They have no idea we're here. The Council fleet began moving toward Earth. Their formation was confident, almost casual. They expected no resistance. Sir, they're powering weapons, the sensor officer said. They're preparing to fire on the cities. Not today, Hyjin said. She opened the fleet-wide channel. All ships, this is Commander Choi, for Ambassador Jinwoo Park, for Earth, for humanity. To cloak and fire at will. 50 warships materialized out of nothing, appearing in the middle of the Council fleet. Before the aliens could react, the Cascade weapons fired. The first wave hit 100 ships simultaneously. Power cores overloaded. Explosions rippled through the fleet like dominoes falling. Ships crashed into each other as pilots lost control. The Council's perfect formation became chaos in seconds. "They're trying to retreat," Yunji reported, her voice filled with savage satisfaction. "Don't let them," Taiho ordered from Earth. "No survivors, no witnesses. Show them what humanity can do." The battle lasted 30 minutes. When it ended, 450 Council ships were destroyed. 50 managed to jump away, damaged and terrified. Haijin recorded a message and sent it on all frequencies, knowing the Council would receive it. "This is Commander Haijin Choi of Earth. You took one human life. We destroyed 500 of your ships. This is not revenge. This is a warning. We're coming for you next." She closed the channel and looked at her crew. Young faces, determined eyes. They had just changed everything. "Set course for Council space," she ordered. "We have a government to erase." The 50 surviving Council ships jumped back to the Nexus in full panic. They brought news that terrified the Council to its core. Earth, the primitive species they had dismissed, had destroyed their third fleet with ease. The Supreme Arbiter called an emergency session. The chamber that had witnessed Jinwoo's death, now filled with frightened aliens arguing and shouting. "Impossible!" One Council member screeched. "Humans just learned to travel faster than light. They can't have weapons like this." "The evidence is clear," another responded. 500 ships destroyed in 30 minutes. Our ships never even detected the enemy until they opened fire. The Arbiter slammed its tentacles down, demanding silence. "We will crush this rebellion. Send the first fleet, send the second fleet, send everything. Humanity will be erased." But the orders never went out. Before the Council could act, humanity struck first. Captain Yunji led half the Phantom Fleet deep into Council territory. Her mission was simple: destroy their ability to build new ships. She had a list of 12 major shipyards across 6 star systems. The first shipyard orbited a red dwarf star. It was enormous, capable of building 50 warships at once. Thousands of workers lived there. The Council considered it invincible, protected by defensive stations and a permanent garrison of 100 ships. Unji's fleet arrived cloaked and silent. They drifted through the defensive perimeter like ghosts. When they were in position, Yunji gave the order. "Light them up." Cascade weapons hit the shipyard's power core. The explosion was so massive it could be seen from 3 planets away. The defensive stations tried to respond, but they couldn't find targets. The human ships remained invisible, firing from the darkness. Within an hour, the shipyard was debris. The garrison was destroyed. Yunji's fleet vanished before reinforcements could arrive. They hit the second shipyard 6 hours later. Then the third. Then the fourth. Each attack was identical. Appear from nowhere. Destroy everything. Disappear. The Council's military infrastructure crumbled. Meanwhile, on the other side of Council space, something else was happening. Lieutenant Seung-ho Park, Jinwoo's younger brother, led a different kind of mission. He commanded a small team of 30 soldiers, and their target was the Council's military command center on the fortress world of Draken Prime. Draken Prime was supposed to be impossible to attack. It sat behind 3 defensive lines, with 1,000,000 soldiers and 1,000 warships protecting it. The Council's greatest generals lived there, coordinating all military operations. Seung-ho's team didn't try to fight through the defenses. They went around them. Using the blackout drive, their ship approached the planet completely undetected. They landed in a remote mountain range and hiked for 2 days to reach the command center. The center was built into a mountain, with only one entrance guarded by elite soldiers. Sujin said this would work. One of Seung-ho's soldiers whispered, holding a small device. She said the alien security systems can't detect our equipment. They were right. The team walked past laser grids and motion sensors without triggering any alarms. The alien technology simply couldn't see them. The command center's entrance was sealed by a massive door. Seung-ho placed charges on the hinges and stood back. "For my brother," he said quietly, and pressed the button. The door blew inward. Alien officers jumped up in shock as human soldiers poured through. The fight was brief and brutal. The aliens had weapons, but they had grown comfortable behind their defenses. They had forgotten how to fight. Within minutes, Seung-ho's team controlled the command center. They sealed all exits and took the generals prisoner. "Broadcast this," Seung-ho ordered, standing over a communication console. He forced the captured generals to sit in front of the camera. "Tell all council forces that their command is under human control. Tell them their fleets have no coordination. Tell them they're fighting blind." The broadcast went out across all council channels. Panic spread through their military. Admiral Taiho watched from Earth as reports flooded in. Shipyards destroyed. Command captured. Council forces in chaos. Phase 1 was complete. How long until they regroup? He asked his staff. "Unknown," an analyst replied. "But they still have thousands of ships scattered across their territory. If they organize a counterattack, they won't have time," Taiho interrupted. He opened a new channel. "Commander Choi, begin Phase 2. Haijin received the order aboard the Silent Thunder." Phase 2 was the boldest part of the plan. Her fleet would strike directly at the Nexus itself, the heart of council power. But first, they needed intelligence. Specialist Ji-won Han, a young woman with a talent for infiltration, volunteered for the most dangerous mission yet. Ji-won took a small shuttle to the Nexus alone. The station was on high alert, but she used a trick the humans had discovered. The council's sensors looked for ships and weapons. They didn't look for something as small and simple as a civilian shuttle broadcasting a distress signal. She docked at a maintenance bay and slipped inside the station. She wore a device that projected a hologram over her body, making her look like one of the blue-skinned alien workers. It wasn't perfect, but in the chaos and panic, nobody looked closely. She spent 3 days mapping the station's defenses, counting ships, locating weapon systems. She found something else too. In a secure database, she discovered files about the Council's member species. She learned something important. Many of those species had been conquered by the Council long ago. They weren't allies. They were prisoners. Ji-won reported back to Haijin with all the data. "The Council is weaker than we thought," she said. "Half their members hate them. If we offer them freedom, they might switch sides." Haijin forwarded the information to Admiral Taiho. "This changes everything," she said. "We don't have to destroy the Council. We can break it apart from inside." Taiho smiled. For the first time since Jinwoo's death, he allowed himself to feel hope. "Then let's break it. Haijin, take your fleet to the Nexus. Show them that nowhere is safe. Yoonji, continue hitting their shipyards. Seung-ho, hold that command center." He opened a new channel to someone back on Earth. "Minji, it's time for your part. Contact every species in the Council. Offer them what the Council never did: freedom." Across the galaxy, the Council was learning a terrible lesson. They had killed one human to show their power. Now humanity was showing them what real power looked like, and Earth was just getting started. In the Council chamber, the Supreme Arbiter floated alone in the dark. Its tentacles trembled. For 10,000 years, the Council had ruled without challenge. Now, in just weeks, everything was falling apart. The Arbiter accessed old files, searching for information about humans. What were they? Why were they so dangerous? It found a report from the first scouts who had observed Earth, written years ago. "Humans are a strange species," the report said. "They cooperate well and protect their own fiercely. Recommendation: Do not provoke them without overwhelming force. They prefer peace, but they prepare for war. Approach with caution and respect. The Arbiter had ignored that report. It had dismissed humans as primitive. Now it was paying the price for that arrogance. Diplomatic officer Minji Cho sat in a small office on Earth, but her words reached across the galaxy. She had a list of 47 species, all members of the Galactic Council. Her job was to turn them against each other. She started with the species she knew were unhappy, the ones Ji-Wan had identified from the stolen files. Her first call went to the Kelrath, a reptilian species that had joined the Council 500 years ago. "This is Minji Cho, speaking for Earth," she said through the translator. "We know your homeworld was threatened with destruction if you didn't join the Council. We know they take half your resources every year. We're offering you a choice. Join us and be free." The Kelrath representative was silent for a long time. "You're at war with the Council. Why would we join the losing side?" "Are we losing?" Minji asked. She sent them footage of the destroyed Third Fleet, the burning shipyards, the captured command center. "The Council can't even protect themselves. How will they protect you?" 3 hours later, the Kelrath announced they were leaving the Council. Minji made the same offer to 20 other species. Some refused immediately, loyal to the Council out of fear or genuine alliance. But others listened. Others remembered the wars the Council had waged to force them into submission. Others saw an opportunity. Within 2 weeks, 23 species had formally withdrawn from the Council. 8 more declared neutrality. The Council that had ruled for 10,000 years was breaking apart. Major Hyunwoo Nam was on the front lines of a different battle. His mission was to liberate the slave worlds, the planets where the Council kept populations of conquered species, working in mines and factories. The first world he reached was called Broken Stone by its inhabitants. Gray sky, gray ground, gray buildings. Millions of beings lived there, working 16 hours a day to produce rare metals for Council warships. The planet had no defenses. The Council didn't expect anyone to attack such a worthless place. Hyunwoo's ship landed in the middle of the main factory complex. Workers scattered in fear, thinking this was a new Council punishment. But Hyunwoo's soldiers didn't carry weapons. They carried food, medicine, and tools. "We're from Earth," Hyunwoo announced through loudspeakers. "The Council killed our ambassador, so we're destroying the Council. You're free now. We're here to help you go home." The workers didn't believe him at first. Freedom was a trick, a test. But then Hyunwoo's people started cutting the chains, opening the prison cells, distributing supplies. Within hours, the entire population understood. The humans meant it. "Why are you doing this?" An old worker asked Hyunwoo. "Why help us?" "We're nothing to you." "Because the Council called us nothing too," Hyunwoo replied. "We're showing the galaxy what nothing can do." News of the liberation spread quickly. Hyunwoo moved from world to world, freeing millions. Each freed population became living proof that the Council's power was gone. Each liberation weakened the Council's claim to authority. Admiral Taiho watched all these pieces come together from his command center on Earth. War wasn't just about destroying the enemy. It was about making them irrelevant. Status report. He ordered. His officers reported from across the galaxy. Yoonji had destroyed all 12 major shipyards plus 8 smaller ones. The Council couldn't build new ships. Seungho still held the command center, meaning Council forces couldn't coordinate. Minji had fractured their political alliance. Hyunwoo was turning public opinion against them. "And Commander Choi?" Taiho asked. "In position around the Nexus," an officer replied. "Waiting for your order." Taiho pulled up a communication channel. The Council's Supreme Arbiter appeared on the screen, its tentacles writhing anxiously. "Human Admiral," the Arbiter said. We wish to negotiate. Now you want to talk? Taiho replied coldly. You killed our ambassador during negotiations. Why should we trust you? That was a mistake, the arbiter said quickly. A terrible mistake. We were wrong to judge you so harshly. Please, let us discuss peace terms. I'm listening, Taiho said. We can offer you technology, resources, territory, the arbiter offered. Earth can have a seat on the council. Equal voice, equal power. Just stop the attacks. Taiho was quiet for a moment. Then he leaned forward. Let me tell you what's going to happen instead. The Galactic Council is finished. You will surrender all authority. You will stand trial for the murder of Ambassador Jinwoo Park and for the enslavement of dozens of species. And if you refuse, we will erase the Nexus from existence. You can't. The arbiter shrieked. The Nexus is the center of galactic civilization. Billions depend on it. Trade, communication, culture. Then you should have thought about that before you executed an armed diplomat, Taiho said. You have 24 hours to decide. He closed the channel. Around him, his staff looked nervous. Sir, if we destroy the Nexus, we'll be no better than them, someone said quietly. We won't destroy it, Taiho replied. But they don't know that. Fear is a useful weapon. On the Nexus, the council held an emergency session. The chamber was half empty now. So many species had left or gone neutral. The ones remaining argued desperately. We have to fight, one insisted. If we surrender, we lose everything. We've already lost everything, another replied. Our fleets are scattered. Our shipyards are ash. Our command is captured. What's left to fight with? We still have the 6th Fleet, the first one said. 1,000 ships, all in defensive positions around the core worlds. They can win this. But even as they argued, something was happening in the heart of Council space. Dr. Dalian Kang had been working on a secret project. Something even Admiral Taiho didn't fully understand. Years ago, Earth had discovered a piece of alien technology in deep space. An abandoned probe from an ancient civilization. The probe contained blueprints for something incredible. A weapon that could shut down electronic systems across an entire star system at once. Dalian had spent years reverse engineering it. Now it was ready. The device was small, no bigger than a basketball. Haijin's ship carried it to the edge of Council core space. When she activated it, the effects were immediate. Every ship, every station, every piece of Council technology within 20 light years simply stopped working. Ships drifted powerless. Communications went silent. The lights on the Nexus flickered and died. The Council's last fleet, the proud 6th Fleet, was now 1,000 floating metal boxes with no power, no weapons, and no way to call for help. Haijin broadcast a message on old-fashioned radio frequencies. The only ones still working. This is Commander Choi to all Council forces. You are defeated. Tower down your weapons and prepare to be boarded. Anyone who resists will be left to drift in space forever. On the Nexus, the Supreme Arbiter finally understood. The humans hadn't just prepared for war. They had prepared to win it completely. Contact Earth, the Arbiter said weakly. Tell them we surrender. But Taiho didn't take the call. Instead, he sent a message to all surviving Council leadership. The Galactic Council is dissolved. All member species are free to govern themselves. The remaining Council officials will be transported to Earth to stand trial. The Nexus will become neutral territory, administered by a new federation of free worlds. And remember this, we tried peace first. You chose war. Never forget what happens when you murder human ambassadors. The 24-hour deadline passed. The war was over. Humanity had won in just 5 weeks. But Admiral Taiho knew the hardest part was just beginning. Winning a war was easier than building a lasting peace. Commander Ha-Jin Choi stood on the bridge of the Silent Thunder as her fleet approached the Nexus. The massive station was dark now, its lights flickering weakly. The weapon Do-yoon had built still affected everything electronic in the area. The once mighty center of galactic power looked like a ghost ship drifting in space. "Prepare boarding parties," Ha-Jin ordered. "We're going in." 200 human ships surrounded the Nexus. Small shuttles launched, carrying soldiers to every docking port. There was no resistance. The aliens inside were too shocked, too defeated to fight. Ha-Jin led her own team directly to the council chamber. The same chamber where Jinwoo had died. She walked through the corridors she remembered from that terrible day. But now she walked as a conqueror, not a diplomat. The chamber doors opened. Inside, what remained of the council leadership waited. 20 aliens from different species, all looking small and frightened. The Supreme Arbiter floated in the center, its silver body dimmed and trembling. "Commander Choi," the Arbiter said weakly, "we are prepared to surrender." "Too late for that," Ha-Jin replied. She walked to the exact spot where Jinwoo had stood. "This is where you murdered him. An unarmed ambassador who came in peace. Do you remember?" "It was not personal," the Arbiter tried to explain. "It was policy. Lesser species must submit to council authority or face consequences." "Lesser species," Ha-Jin interrupted, her voice like ice. "You called us nothing. You called us primitives. Look around this chamber. Look at your broken station. Look at your scattered fleets. Tell me again who's lesser." Lieutenant Seung-ho Park entered the chamber. He had traveled from the captured command center to be here for this moment. He stood beside Ha-Jin, his face a mask of controlled rage. "I'm Lieutenant Seung-ho Park," he said to the Arbiter. "Jinwoo was my older brother. I watched you kill him on that recording, over and over. I want to hear you say it. Say you were wrong." The Arbiter's tentacles coiled. For 10,000 years, the Council had never admitted mistakes. They had ruled through absolute authority. But now, facing the human siblings, the Arbiter realized that old authority meant nothing. "We were wrong," the Arbiter said quietly. "We judged too quickly. We acted with arrogance. Your brother deserved better. He deserved to live," Seung-ho said. "But at least you can admit the truth." Admiral Taiho's face appeared on a screen. He had been listening to everything. "Bring them to Earth," he ordered. "All Council leadership will stand trial. The galaxy will witness true justice, not the mockery they practiced." The aliens were taken into custody and loaded onto prison ships. As they were led away, Ha-Jin stayed in the chamber alone for a moment. She placed her hand on the spot where Jinwoo had stood. "We did it," she whispered. "We made them pay." 3 weeks later, Earth's capital city hosted the trial. A special tribunal had been assembled with judges from 30 different species, including many that had been freed from council rule. The trial was broadcast across the galaxy so everyone could see. The charges were simple: murder of a diplomatic envoy, enslavement of sentient species, abuse of power, and crimes against peace. The evidence was overwhelming. Recordings, testimonies, documents all proved the Council's guilt. The Supreme Arbiter was brought before the judges. Captain Yoonji, Major Hyunwoo, Specialist Ji-won, and dozens of others gave testimony about what they had witnessed and discovered. Former slaves told stories of suffering under Council rule. Member species explained how they had been forced to join through threats and violence. On the final day, the judges delivered their verdict. "Guilty on all charges," the head judge announced. The Galactic Council maintained power through fear and brutality. They believed their technology and age gave them the right to rule over others. They forgot the most important principle of civilization: respect for life and dignity. The punishment was debated for hours. Some wanted execution. Others wanted imprisonment. Finally, they reached a decision. The individuals who ordered the murder of Ambassador Park will serve life imprisonment. The remaining council officials will work to repair the damage they caused, serving the species they once enslaved. And most importantly, the Galactic Council as an institution is permanently dissolved. Admiral Taiho stood before the assembled representatives. "What comes next?" he asked the galaxy. "For 10,000 years you had the council. Now you're free. What will you build with that freedom?" The answer came slowly, through months of negotiation and discussion. 67 species came together to form something new. Not a council that ruled from above, but a federation built on voluntary cooperation. They called it the Federation of Free Worlds. The principles were simple. Every species remained sovereign. No species could force another to join. Decisions required consensus, and any member could leave at any time. Most importantly, ambassadors and diplomats were sacred. Harming them was considered a crime against all civilized beings. Earth didn't try to lead the new federation. Admiral Taiho made that clear from the start. "We're not here to replace the old council with ourselves," he said. "We fought for justice and freedom, not for power. We'll participate as equals, nothing more." The Nexus was rebuilt and reopened as neutral territory. Ships from hundreds of species came and went freely. Trade flourished. Knowledge was shared. For the first time in thousands of years, the galaxy knew peace built on mutual respect rather than fear. Captain Junji retired from military service and became an ambassador herself, helping new species navigate the Federation. Major Hyunwoo established an organization to help rebuild worlds damaged by council rule. Specialist Ji-won taught intelligence officers from other species, sharing Earth's techniques. Dr. Doyen, an engineer. Sujin opened a research facility where scientists from any world could collaborate. Lieutenant Seung-ho Park chose a different path. He took command of a new ship and spent his time exploring the outer edges of known space, searching for species that hadn't yet been discovered. He wanted to make sure humanity's next first contact would go better than the last. 1 year after the war ended, a monument was unveiled on Earth. It stood in the center of the capital, a tall structure of black stone. At the top was a statue of Ambassador Jinwoo Park, his hand extended in greeting, forever offering peace. Around the base were the names of every human who died in the war. Not many Earth's technology had kept. Casualties low, but each name represented someone who had fought for justice. On the anniversary of Jinwoo's death, Commander Hai-Jin Choi visited the monument. She was an admiral now, commanding Earth's defense fleet. But she still felt the weight of that day. She placed flowers at the base of the statue and looked up at Jinwoo's face. "I kept my promise," she said softly. "We made them pay for what they did to you. But we didn't become monsters in the process. We built something better, something you would have been proud of." A small crowd had gathered, people from Earth and a dozen other worlds. They came to remember and honor the ambassador whose death had changed the galaxy. An alien approached Hai-Jin, one she didn't recognize. It had green skin and large eyes. "Admiral Choi," it said through a translator. "My name is Kelvin. I was a slave on Broken Stone before Major Hyunwoo freed us. I came to Earth to say thank you. Your ambassador died trying to bring peace. You finished what he started." Hai-Jin smiled, tears in her eyes. "He would have done the same for you," she said. That's who Jinwoo was. He believed all life had value. As the sun set, Hai-Jin stood before the monument one last time. The statue's shadow stretched long across the ground, as if Jinwoo was still watching over them all, across the galaxy, in hundreds of worlds. Billions of beings lived in freedom because two humans had refused to accept injustice. One had died standing up for his principles. The other had made sure his death meant something. The Galactic Council was gone, erased from history as if it had never existed. In its place was something better, something built on the idea that no species was lesser, no life was meaningless. And peace only came when it was freely chosen by all. Earth had taught the galaxy a simple lesson: treat others with respect, or face the consequences. It was a lesson written in fire and blood, but one that would never be forgotten. And somewhere in deep space, Lieutenant Soon-Ho Park's ship detected signals from a new civilization. He prepared to make first contact, carrying with him everything he had learned. This time, there would be no mistakes. This time, peace would be offered with an extended hand, but backed by the memory of what happened to those who rejected it. This time, the galaxy would listen. The message was clear. Humanity had tried peace first. They would always try peace first. But anyone who mistook patience for weakness would learn the same lesson the Galactic Council had learned. Earth's response to injustice was simple, absolute, and final. They would erase those who murdered their ambassadors, and the galaxy would never forget.